Over 70 years ago, a bunch of Gnostic texts were discovered in the Egyptian town of Nag Hammadi. Have you ever stopped to wonder how many stories and writings about Jesus and his message just disappeared from official history? For centuries, we've believed the Bible as we know it is the only reliable, complete record of Christ's teachings. But when these so-called Gnostic Gospels were found in the 20th century, it shook the foundation of what we thought we knew about early Christianity. Could these be the Bible's lost books? Keep watching and decide for yourself. What and when? The Gnostic Gospels are a collection of 52 texts discovered in Egypt in 1945. They were written on papyrus and compiled into 13 ancient books called codices. A local farmer named Muhammad Ali al-Saman found them buried in a jar near Nag Hammadi. What happened to the books? Later, these books were sold on the black market in Cairo. The Egyptian government seized most of them, but one of the codices was smuggled out of the country and ended up in Europe. Where are the messages now? The original texts are now kept at the Coptic Museum in Cairo, labeled as the Nag Hammadi Codices, or NHC. Gnostics and Gnosticism. The word Gnostic comes from the Greek word gnosis, meaning knowledge. Gnostics believed they held secret knowledge about God and the divine, hence the name. They had very different ideas about Jesus and his teachings, and many of their writings were destroyed for being labeled heretical by the early church. Gnostics weren't an organized church or religion. They were more like a bunch of religious and philosophical movements that thrived from the 2nd to the 4th centuries AD. Gnostic beliefs. Gnostics believed the material world was evil and the spiritual world was good. According to Explore God, they thought humans were good spirits trapped inside evil material bodies. How did Gnostics see God? They believed in a supreme God who was beyond understanding and totally transcendent. But they also believed the universe was created by a lesser god called the Demiurge, not the supreme God. How did Gnostics see Jesus? Jesus was seen as the Redeemer who came to earth to reveal the truth to humans. Some believed Jesus was purely divine, not human at all, since flesh was seen as bad, while others thought he was only human. Salvation in Gnosticism. Gnostics didn't believe in sacraments or forgiveness of sins as necessary for salvation. Instead, they said salvation came from gaining gnosis, that secret knowledge. God is within us. They believed that knowing yourself was the key to knowing God. According to a passage from the book The Little Gnostic Bible shared on gnosis.org, Gnostics rejected religious authorities like priests and rabbis as intermediaries. What is a gospel? The word gospel comes from the Greek euangelion, meaning good news. Early Christians used it to share Jesus' message and tell the story of his life. Gnostic Gospels. The Gnostic texts called Gospels tell the Gnostic perspective on Jesus. Some of the famous ones are the Gospels of Thomas, Mary, and Judas. The Gospel of Thomas. According to Opus Dei, the Gospel of Thomas contains 114 sayings of Jesus but no story or narrative. The Gospel of Mary. This gospel tells of Mary's revelation about Christ's ascension. The Gospel of Judas. This controversial text, reported on by the New York Times, portrays Judas as a good apostle. It claims Judas actually followed Jesus' instructions when he handed him over to his captors. Are these Gospels reliable? The reliability of these texts has been hotly debated. The main arguments against them are about their dating, consistency, and historical context. Timing. Even though it took many years to compile the Bible, the canonical Gospels were circulating long before the Gnostic ones showed up. Consistency. Given how Judas is portrayed in the canonical Gospels by other apostles, it's natural to be suspicious of the Gnostic version. The canonical Gospels present Jesus' message as universal, while the Gnostic ones say he only shared his knowledge with a select few. Historical context. Many people don't believe these texts because Gnostics used myths to express their beliefs, so the writings aren't necessarily historical accounts of Jesus' life. Authenticity. Professor Francis Watson from Durham University has even gone as far as to say some of these writings are outright fake. Mark Goodacre, a New Testament and early Christianity professor at Duke University, shares a similar view. The Bible. The Bible was compiled over many, many years, and many books didn't make the final cut, according to Biblica, the International Bible Society. The New Testament. The Gospels chosen for the New Testament were written by Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. These are the recognized canonical Gospels. What's the biblical canon? According to Biblica, the canon is made up of books considered inspired by God and authoritative for faith and life. Why aren't the Gnostic Gospels in the Bible? Bible scholar Darrell L. Bach told BeliefNet, "The root of these canonical Gospels involves either an apostolic figure or someone closely connected to one." He also said, "The Gospels that made it into the Bible are all from the 1st century. None of these Gnostic Gospels, as far as I know, really date back to the 1st century." The Da Vinci Code. Dan Brown's bestseller was inspired by the Gnostic Gospels, but researchers disagree with Brown's interpretation, according to National Geographic. Why do these texts matter? The Gnostic Gospels give us important insight into Gnosticism and early Christianity. They show us how many ideas were debated back then and how the church responded to them. The search for the Bible's lost books opens up a fascinating world of ideas and mysteries that challenge what we think we know. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more incredible stories. See you in the next one.